Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
There's a lot of earning potential with the end of the world, but we're talking about making a significant investment based on a hypothetical. How can you guarantee results?
By dropping the bomb ourselves.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new edition of the Stuff and Things podcast. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss Fallout, the back four episodes, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm sure there's a song that goes with that. Starting with her good ladyship, it's Kaylee.
Hello.
Welcome back. How are you?
I am wonderful, thank you. How are you?
Yes. I'm bearing up under the strain and stress of all that is life.
Oh.
Other than that, all right. Yeah, fine.
Good.
Also joining us, it's my regular partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hey, I'm just building myself up to be as happy and as energetic as Kaylee is.
It's impossible.
Hey guys, how you doing?
No, it's impossible, man. You can't replicate that.
You can't do it.
That was good attempt.
People have tried with narcotics for years, but you just cannot replicate that kind of energy he has. Okay. I hope you enjoyed the intro, by the way.
Very good.
I was, yeah. Thank you. I was proud of it. Took me ages. That took me longer than I want to admit.
I thought you were getting so much better at that.
Yeah. So did I.
Oh, okay.
and then I kind of set myself these like, oh yeah, I could do this, and then it's like, oh, why did I start this?
Yeah, I can make this work, maybe.
So we are talking about Fallout, the latest video game adaptation to come to the small screen. It's an Amazon Prime Video original series. Last week for Fallout Friday, we discussed Season 1 episodes 1 to 4. During that show, it was Season 1 and question mark. It's now been confirmed Fallout has definitely been renewed for a Season 2. Ooh. So we are about to discuss Fallout Season 1 Part B, which is episodes 5 to 8. As per tradition on the show, and if we didn't do it, it would be very suspicious. People will be on to us in a flash.
They do. They send us messages. They're not happy when we don't do it.
I know. Trust me. I know. It's like I missed it like one time. So, Steph, I'm going to ask you. The title of episode 5 was...
The Past.
Episode 6.
The Trap.
Episode 7.
The Radio.
And episode 8.
The Beginning.
Yeah, well, considering episode 1 was called The End, I thought it worked quite well.
Kind of came around quite full circle.
Yeah, exactly. A bit of a robberous. Oh, hang on. Different show. Oh, my mind went squeaky. Okay, we got a lot to talk about, so let's just do a very quick thing to kick us off. It's been renewed for a Season 2.
Yep.
Steph, I'm gonna say this. Don't want to put words in your mouth, but you were a little unsure of the show after the first 4 episodes.
Yep.
You've now watched all 8. Are you excited to talk about a Season 2 and view a Season 2, or are you kind of, not sure?
I'll watch it, and we will podcast it.
Wow, that's not a very happy...
No, to be fair, episode 8 was the best episode.
Isn't that how it should be, really?
In theory, the finale should be the best bit, so they've got that right.
You really didn't like the show, did you?
I don't know. I expected to absolutely love it. I really did expect to love it. And I've watched it all. And I'm glad I watched it. Because, again, I like the background of what it's based on. And I think this is a show that I will watch again in like a couple of months' time, few months' time. I'll sit and watch it again. And I'll probably thoroughly enjoy it.
Okay, I'm going to circle back to that. Because, hang on. Circling back. Kaylee, basically the same question yourself. After the first 4, you were kind of, that's interesting, that's weird, that's very weird. Obviously, you've not played the game much because you've never been in the back of the car to play the game. But what was that car again? The Tesla. The Tesla. What are your thoughts after...
In the front, actually.
Oh, sorry. How dare I? Oh, I apologise.
The butler drives, don't you know that?
Yeah. How stupid of me. Like, there are 19 rooms with all the Christmas trees. I should have known better.
Exactly.
So you've now watched all 8, so you finished season 1. What's your thinking on it? Are you kind of like, oh, good, season 2, that'd be interesting? Or are you kind of like, I still don't know what the hell's going on?
I'm a lot more bought into it now than I was at the beginning.
Good.
Do you know what? I enjoyed the last 2 episodes the most,
Yeah.
and I think if I could have gone episode 1, 7, 8, I'd have been fine.
Yeah.
You know, the bit in the middle was.
Do you? I'm going to put this to you first, and then I'm circling back to him. Do you think, like me, they watched this show, like the people who put it together, and went, "We need to release this in one go"? Because like I was questioning why they've done that so much, and then after watching it, I genuinely think this is a show that if you watch those 8 episodes like one day after another, or like a couple, then a couple, like whatever, like. I mean, some people binged it in a night, which is just mad. I'm not that energetic anymore. I'm too old.
I know.
What do you agree with me on that? That actually, if you watch it all the way through, it's basically a 8-hour film.
Yeah, I think if it had been released one by one every week, I
Right.
probably would have given up halfway through episode 3.
Yeah, because I was going to say I always try and give things 3 episodes, and I think if I'd finished episode 3 with this and 4 wasn't sat there, I might have been a bit. A week's gone by.
Yeah.
I don't remember who's who. Brotherhood of what? I might have struggled to kick it on.
Yeah.
But because I was like, okay, we're talking about the first 4 episodes, so I'm watching those first 4. I kind of pushed into it, and I did get really engaged then. Steph, I want to circle back to you. So first of all, the same question to you then, which is, do you think that they looked at it and went, whether you've played the game or not, I still think you need to watch this as, we want to make this available so people can go to the next episode, and not wait a week, because if they wait a week, we might see a drop-off.
I think they like even a few of the shows we've been watching are now doing this thing where they drop 2 or 3 episodes to begin with, and then
that was actually Amazon that started that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of surprised me that they dropped them all. I was going, oh wow, don't tell me they've watched it and thought this is crap.
Yeah, no. See, I think they watched it and they realised if they'd have just dropped 2 or 3, I don't know how many more people would have tuned in the next week. It was quite a slow. It was a slow build, but at the same time, so much information.
It was a lot of world building in the opening 4 episodes. Like, we did that podcast last week and we had a lot of feedback. By the way, a lot of love for our show for last week. And sometimes we finish a show and I feel really great about it, and we get like one message saying, "No, nice show," and I'm like, "Oh, I felt really good."
Thanks, Mum.
Sometimes, thanks, Mum. No, trust me, she just sends flat abuse, man. It's just that woman hates me. So but sometimes I finish a show and I'm like, I don't know if I got my point across. I don't know if we kind of, I'm kind of in my head a bit about it. Yeah. And last week I was a bit like that. I was like, I felt really enthusiastic, but I don't know if I sold it to anyone. I was not sure.
How enthusiastic did I come across? Yeah.
Yeah, but the feedback was like universal love. There is one thing which I'll come to, but just a bit. I said I'd circle back, so I'm going to do that first because people shout at me when I say that and then don't do it. In all the time I've known you,
yes,
you said a minute ago, I'm going to watch this show again in a couple of months. In all the time I've known you, you don't watch stuff a second time.
The only thing I have been known for watching multiple
Spider-Man.
times quickly was Spider-Man 3 movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was like 4 times in the cinema, and then again when it came out. But yeah, that's beside the point.
Have you rewatched WandaVision?
No.
Captain America?
Nothing.
Series,
I do not
Loki?
rewatch shows.
No.
The reason I will rewatch this show is I think I am guilty of coming into it with too much expectation. Of expecting it to be a following one character through the whole thing, like the game, because the game is you play as one character and off you go. Yeah. And I think I went into the show with too much expectation. And now that I've seen the final episode and I've seen how everything pieces together, I think I'll have that in the back of my head. So in a few months' time, when I watch it again, I will have that information. I think I'll view it in a very different way.
Okay. Well, hopefully you can fit it in between all your Grey's Anatomy watching, which I'm still so mad at you. All the good TV out there.
I'm still only on season 8. Oh.
Shut up, man. It's peak TV out there, like Wong said, and you're watching Grey's. Oh, don't. Oh, it hurts me. It really hurts me.
Kaylee watches it as well, so you are out.
Yeah, she's allowed. You, not so much. Kaylee.
Yeah.
Talking about the universal love and the feedback we got, we did get one particular message, which I'm going to start the show discussing, which is, it was aimed to you.
Right.
And it was basically on the lines of, Kaylee, I hope you really enjoy getting to make Sam eat humble pie and crow over Maximus.
Well, yes.
It was a lovely message, and it was just generally, it was kind of like dripping in, oh, I love this. This is beautiful. The exact words were, if I could record the moment that Kaylee gets to torture you with this, oh great, it's a podcast, yes I can. I'm going to live off it and feast for days. People seem to quite enjoy me having to eat this. Don't get me wrong, it's someone who listens to us a lot, and they're just part of the sense of humour. But
what I love is the fact that you kind of mentioned he's a bit of a meh character. I'm the one that called him Maximus Twattius.
Yeah,
and I've been just completely like, yep, I've just got away with that one.
I think the key was the discussion we had last week on the show, which was me basically saying I was convinced he bladed his friend and let the asshole die and all this kind of stuff. And then what I realised watching the back four episodes was that actually he was basically on the exact same journey as Lucy, a very, very naive individual, not really aware of the world at all, just kind of indoctrinated into this. The knights are there to help people, protect people, to do. So when he let that guy die, it wasn't a kind of callous mercenary act, which I perceived it to be. This kind of like, oh great, I get the armor now, yay. It was actually a kind of, you aren't, yeah, he said it, you're not worthy to wear the armor, and he actually genuinely believed that. And over the next 4 episodes, like his character, the kind of journey of discovery, mirroring Lucy's in a way, I ended up the series thinking, okay, yeah, I was wrong. I got to hold my hands up. He's a good lad, a bit thick, but a good lad.
It's not very often we record these shows, and I genuinely wish that we did it with video. Because
that's cool.
the grin on my face right now, I hope you can feel it coming through the speaker, because I am so happy.
I can hear it. I can kind of hear.
Yeah, I can hear it too. Oh, that stings. Oh no.
It's like Christmas. Oh.
Yeah. And we know how much she loves Christmas.
Yeah, don't get her started on that. We're well away from that. That's so there we go. I've kind of broken my notes down on the show into different story arcs, which over the 4 episodes, I kind of felt like the first 4 was like a real world building, meet everyone, trying to give you like a grounding, and I kind of felt right the way from episode 5, it was like, now we're on our journey. Like, you know, it was kind of like everyone's intertwined, we get to know everyone, and now there's a destination over there, we're now all heading there. So what I've done is I've kind of broken it down into different bits. So I want to actually start with the group of people who aren't on a journey at all, and that's the people back in Vault 33. So I want to start by talking about Norm, who continued to dig and found out that Vault 32, which he found like they'd all murdered each other, were trying to break into Vault 31. And we saw yet more kind of like blood graffiti on the wall, like we know what's in there and stuff like that.
Yes.
At this point, at the point of seeing that, Steph, did you, I mean, because obviously you played the game, so maybe you had a bit of an idea. Did you have any sort of inkling of what the heck was going on at that point?
No, not particularly. That was still a bit like, ooh, I wonder what's going on. I know I had a couple of theories, which annoyingly I spoke to you about after we stopped recording, because we didn't want to drop any spoilers for Kaylee.
Yeah.
And it turns out that those I was really quite accurate on, which surprised me.
Yep.
But unfortunately,
there's no evidence.
No
just for all the
evidence at all,
listeners, he
so-
didn't. He's just making out. He wants to sound good. It's,
No, I'm so
not
annoyed
sure.
that we didn't record it because I was like, I was spot on with a couple of bits.
Yep.
However, yeah, I should have guessed what was in Vault 31 by the fact that most of the Fallout games, you kind of start by coming out of a crypto freeze thing.
Yeah.
I should have probably guessed what was in Vault 31.
Yeah, a cryo tank. Kaylee, at this point, when you're seeing that, and he's starting to piece it together, doing bits and pieces, or at least piecing together there is something going on. I mean, the elections and when things seem glum, Vote 31 and all that kind of stuff, what was going through your mind?
Well, I don't know. I still was a little bit not into it at this point. So I don't think I necessarily overthought it too much. I was more of the opinion of it's experiments and they're trying to create their own army or, there's some other freaky shit going on. It never even crossed my mind that was what the scenario was.
I do want to throw myself under the bus a little bit here, and I'm kind of, it's one of these things where I'm going to say this, and I'm kind of hoping both of you are with me, because if you're not, I really am under the bus. And people, Steph, you'll remember this. Do you remember Jesus on top of the truck moment? Where I was doing a podcast of The Walking Dead, like, how did he get there? And he's like, he was there the whole time. What's the episode again?
What's the episode?
I watched
You
it
see
again.
him go across. Yeah.
He's literally, you see him, and I'm like, oh no, how did I miss that? Like, I just spoke to thousands of people who, giving my opinion. I've literally missed this guy stood on top of a truck. Anyway, so with this moment, I had Betty, lovely Betty. We find out it was originally from Vault 31. Is elected to be the new overseer of 33.
Yes.
She divides everybody up because they're going to repopulate 32, which has miraculously been cleaned. Norm is quite sus.
And he makes a comment about it. She's like, yep.
Yeah. I like those scenes. Those scenes were great because she's like, I know he's on to me. And he's like, I know you're lying to me.
Yeah.
But they're just playing along. She's not having any of it. And then we find out that Steph was also from 31. Oh, lo and behold, Steph's now the overseer for 32.
Yeah.
So, again, there's this weird thing going on with all that. But here we go. This is me throwing myself under the bus. Whilst this storyline is playing out, we're also getting a flashback storyline across all the episodes, which we're going to come on to in more detail.
Mm-hmm.
At what point did you guys realise that Betty was in the flashbacks?
Sorry, dude, quite quickly.
Yeah.
When the Gould character...
No, shut up, Kaylee. Kaylee, please help me.
Not then. It took a while.
Okay, I feel better.
Like,
yeah,
he calls her Betty when he first walks into the waiting room, and I was like, oh, Betty! Yeah. Oh my god!
Yeah, like just hang on there, right? Because this is like a 1950s feel and everything about it, the vibe. Betty's a pretty common name, alright? I'm not... This isn't like, oh, Miss Jones. Oh, there can only be one Jones. There could have been more than one Betty, alright? So I'm kind of like... It was the moment, for me, when the penny dropped, and this is me throwing myself under the bus, was when she introduced him to Hank in the flashback. And I was like, oh, that's Hank. That means that's Betty. Oh no! And then that was bad.
I'll roll myself under that bus with you, Sam.
Kaylee, we will make ourselves comfortable there. It'll be fine. It's fine. I spend a lot of time here. We're good. There's snacks in the corner. So there we go. For me, the whole 31 thing, I didn't predict what came. Like, I didn't predict that at all. What I was thinking was, okay, so clearly 31 are actually the ones in control. They're like the ones, and they're like monitoring 33 and 32, and when stuff needs doing, they'll like instigate a change of like, oh, this needs to happen, we'll do this. Oh, and maybe their mum found out about that, and that's why she got vanished. Maybe she's in there, maybe she got taken in, so I was running through all these things. At no point did I think it was a little Henry Hoover, instead of a Hoover, a brain running around monitoring cryo tubes. Didn't see that at all. That wasn't on my docket one bit.
What I didn't see coming?
Go on.
That the brain on a Roomba would be probably my favourite character in the whole show.
Yeah, that's weird.
The one-liners that he came out with. Don't go in there. You're going in there.
Yeah,
You'll never know what we're doing. Oh, he's going to find out.
Yeah. He's got the needle. I'm gonna hold still.
Will you come here? This should work.
Yeah.
Don't go in there. Why is this not working? Yeah.
So that is the brain. So obviously Norm. I've written hacked the computer system. I don't think writing hacks.
No, it is
really
a hack.
fair.
That is a direct pull from the game.
That is a definition of a hack.
That is the direct pull from the game. It's brilliant.
Norm manages to access Vault 31 by a bit of sneakery, pretending he is. And by the way, once you find out it's a brain thing, you understand how they fell for that, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But then Betty, it's not Betty. You're not Betty. No shit, Sherlock. So Norm finds it all, and then this kind of storyline ends in a weird way, because the brain's like, yeah, that vault's sealed now. There's no way of getting out of here, and there's no food. Like, so you either jump in your dad's pod or you're dead.
Yeah.
So what do you just to round that up, Steph? What do you think Norm's going to do, or what do you think? I mean, I'm baffled. I'd imagine there must be a way out of there. I imagine that's just the brain bot still trying to control the situation.
It's going to go one of two ways. Either Norm's going to find the way out, and the robot will be going, no, don't go up the ladder. No, not that ladder. Oh, he got out.
Yeah.
Or he is going to put himself into one of the chambers, and season 2 is going to be Lucy kind of going back there and discovering it, and that's the other way I can see it going. Is it going to be part of the storyline somewhere?
Kaylee, what about you? Where do you think that's going to go?
Oh, well, I like both of Steph's suggestions, really. I kind of like the idea of him freezing himself, because I would quite like to do that.
Oh, that's on your docket, is it? That's...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but do you know what? After that, I wouldn't mind being a brain in a
jar.
Yeah.
I do like that visual. It is very 50s sci-fi, and that very kind of...
With a little needle coming out of it,
Yeah, that was...
Jetsons.
Yeah. So it's all back. What's old is new, people. So like we said, we did discuss the flashbacks in the link there. So let's dive into the flashbacks a little bit. The Ghoul, aka Cooper Howard, attends a meeting. There's something said in this which I quite like. In the 50s, 60s America, the paranoia around communism was kind of crazy. And anyone who was like, oh, do you know what? We could, universal healthcare would be nice, wouldn't it? Be locked up as a communist. It's just like saying something slightly left-leaning. He's a commie! So the kind of idea that the actors and stuff are all becoming communist, and he goes to this meeting. Kaylee, I'll start with you on this. What was your reaction to him being in the meeting, and basically the woman leading this movement we see is Dr. Moldover.
I was actually really happy, because it just explained so much, and that is the moment where that was my light bulb moment.
Yeah.
And that's what made it really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Because I could see almost where it was going.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't necessarily get the full answer, because I think that will come.
Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting, because I wouldn't have ever imagined that was what it was going to be.
No, I'm with you, and I liked the I like dialogue in TV shows that tells you everything but doesn't make it feel like they're literally reading it to you. And what I mean by that is, like, you ever watch some shows and it's like, oh look, over there's a man from the post office and they always deliver on Thursdays. That must mean it's Thursday. And you're like, wait a minute, come on, I could have worked that out. You don't need to over describe what's going on. With this, when she gave a kind of impassioned speech about Vault Tech, and in that speech, which is about 3 minutes long, she reveals that she's one of the smartest people on the planet. She invented cold fusion and they kept buying it from her to keep it under wraps, which means she's ridiculously wealthy, because Vault Tech keep shutting her down, buying companies and closing it off. also alludes to the fact that there's the technology around cryo chambers, etc., and obviously makes it abundantly clear that she knows what his wife, your wife's not a good person in this. And you got all of that in this one thing, and gives him the listening device, like, look, this is a gift, it's up to you what you do with it, but I'd suggest you need to know what she really is. Now, up to this point, I'd been thinking his wife and daughter obviously died in the blast, and he's just kind of walked the earth out of vengeance in kind of, I don't know, piss and vinegar, basically keeping him going. With that moment, I'm kind of like, oh, you mean she's... Okay, that's interesting, because... All right, this is different. Steph, bringing you in then, what was your reaction to Dr. Moldaver being there for the meeting?
Seeing her arrive was one of those moments where it surprised me, and at the same time, I should have gone, duh, of course. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm going to throw myself under the bus now, possibly.
Bring it on.
Did she explain how she got to where she was 229 years later?
Nope.
Okay, good.
No.
That's fine.
No, she hints at it with the technology and the money, but she doesn't.
Yeah. Was she in a vault herself and then got out, or did she have her own super duper bunker?
I think, like Kaylee, I think we're going to get that perhaps in the backstory, but I think her and her people are the people largely behind the new California Republic.
Yeah, no, she was the leader of that and stuff. But
yeah, and then Vault-Tec blew that up and then went back to their vaults, so it was gone, and then they'd have control again.
But then also she also dies in the last episode. She dies, and I'm kind of like, so we're never gonna really get to see how or why.
I think we will. I think there's going to be some backstory there, because I think it ties so heavily to like her mum, and obviously she's hunting down, and obviously the Gould Cooper Howard story is interlinked quite heavily.
Heavily with that, but even like the mum storyline, obviously the mum was a Gould, which I called that. Yeah. I called it, and I didn't record it. It pissed me off.
He didn't. He's full of it. I don't know what he's talking about.
Bastard, I did.
He did really say it, and I wrote it down even as this is your prediction, and then when it happened, I was like, oh, son of a bitch.
And I only guessed it because of like knowing bits about the other games. But anyway, with that, so when her mum left the vault, she went and met her at, what was it called? Sandy
Shades? Sandy Pines? Sandy Shades? Sandy Pine? I can't remember.
I have this written down, right?
Yeah.
And I'm looking for it on my notes, because I know I wrote it down, because I was like, oh, that's...
I'm sure it's like Sandy Pines or something like that.
Keep talking, and when I find it, I'll confirm it.
Brilliant. But then she went there, and that's how they met each other and everything else, which is cool. And that's how she's got the backstory with her mum and everything else, which is great. It just surprised me that there was no kind of, well, this is how I got to being 200 years in the future to make this town.
So my
used.
biggest question around all of that, and again, I might have missed it, is when they turned up at the very beginning, why didn't he recognise her? Why didn't he know her? If she was that prevalent back in the day, surely he would have been aware of her.
I think there's two ways you can go with that. One, he didn't want Lucy to know he was acting. He even when Lucy stood there at the end and she's basically monologuing how evil her father is, he's going, don't listen to her, she's making all this up.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he was just completely in character.
Why he locked her in that cupboard. I think that was why. It was kind of like, if she's in there,
something's going to get said. You know. I think that possibly. Another thing is he was Vault-Tec. I don't know how high up he was in Vault-Tec, because if you remember, he was his
basically
Cooper Howard's wife's assistant. Yeah. He was her assistant. Yeah. He used to get her coffee. Remember, he says that. He's a really cold ass line. So yeah, I don't know how aware of her he might be. I mean, he obviously knew her name, because he did say like, yeah, I know who you are. So yeah, I think he was playing a role. I think he was acting in that moment because he was trying to maintain the lie in front of Lucy.
Yeah.
And I think his son was there then as well. Yeah, so like I said, the flashbacks. I'm anyone who listens to our shows talking about many shows. The flashback is it kind of gets me because I feel like it's been overused. But I do try and watch shows on their individual merits now and not just be tainted by what I've seen in the past. And I'll hold my hands up. I think as a storytelling method within this show, it worked really well because I think they really tied the storyline at the vaults in really well and also told us, because I think without the flashbacks, the ghoul is a little bit one-dimensional, a little bit kind of, he's just a shoot 'em up. Yeah. He's a cowboy. Yeah. he's just like the stranger walked into town, bang bang. And then once you get that flashback and you realize everything has gone on, you have a real kind of, for me anyway, like a real affection for him, like a real kind of,
even
I
down
now
to
understand
why he likes the dog so much. You know,
even that, yeah.
Explained out, yeah.
Kaylee, how did you handle the dog being locked in a Nuke Cola thing?
Well, I was not very happy.
And how did you feel when the ghoul let him out?
Oh,
very happy. Yeah. There we go. I was sad, then I was happy.
Yeah. Sad, I was happy. Yeah. See, for me, you talk about those flashbacks. Now, they don't usually bother me, and I you know, they go a good way to tell the story.
Yeah.
With this, however, I kind of controversially perhaps and in conflict with what you're saying, I think I would have been far more bought into the whole story, and it would have been a far easier watch as a complete novice to the theme and the story if they had gone chronologically. So from start to finish, we see him, we see his wife, I kind of understand what's going on, I don't know what's coming. I think I would have maybe enjoyed it more without the flashbacks, if they'd have literally just done it from start to finish.
I think you can definitely argue. I think the only counterpoint I'd give to that is the way they've done it allowed for a shock factor. It allowed for very good. Because for me, and possibly just very naive, didn't want to think his wife was in on it. Didn't want to think she was part of it. And the minute you heard her, like in our intro, say, "We'll drop the bomb ourselves," I was just like, oh, and the scene, I thought the guy acted circles around that scene of just utter heartbreak. And I like the way they did like the ringing in his ears, the kind of like just utter oh my god moment. Because it was the build up to it. He's like, set him straight, like, come on now. Please be the woman I love. Please be the woman I think you are. Yeah, she
starts talking about her daughter and stuff, and he's like, yes, that's it. You tell her, you bring it back to her. And then she's like, how do we do that? And I'm like, oh, no.
Can you, Kaylee, can you imagine being in that position and like listening to your husband, like doing like a monologue speech and then finding out that he's basically sort of, we'll just nuke everyone. It'd be fine.
Do you know what? The shock factor of that, like you say, it was really good. I would never have thought that she would have been. I genuinely thought, I knew she was kind of supposed to be, you know, a key player in the whole thing, but I would have at least liked to have, you know, seen her put up a bit of a fight, not be the lead instigator.
There was a line she kind of dropped about, my job role is going to get us into one of the vaults, one of the good ones. And I was kind of like, oh, what's she aware of? And I was like, and so like in my head again, just pure naivety of just kind of like, oh, she must be aware that it's not all going to be good, so she's having to keep this job even though it's horrible because she wants to save her husband and her child. Sometimes people have got to do horrible things to, you know, protect their family. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a really tough storyline about that because obviously he doesn't end up in a vault. We know that. So what happened? We see when the bombs land, he's with his daughter and they're riding away. So does she die? Is that how he ended up radiated? So, I mean, the flashbacks, I think, told that story brilliantly. And the real shock factor for me around his wife that moment, then literally the ringing in his ears stops and he's introduced to Hank. And I'm like, what the? That's why you said her name back to her when Lucy said she was Lucy McLean. He was like, McLean. And I was like, oh. Okay, why is that significant? And then of course I'm thinking, oh, the mum got out. The mum's alive somewhere. This must be because he knows the mum. Everyone knows the mum. Maybe her mum's a dancer. Who knows? Everyone seems to know her. What's going on? I'm completely lost. And then that moment where he's introduced, I'm like, oh, that's what it was. So, like I said, the flashback thing and different shows, I find it lazy and annoying and completely unnecessary. In this, because they kept the little shock factors, that's why I quite liked it. Moving on then to Max. Sorry, go on.
Just quickly on the Ghoul, whilst we're still there, is the fact that when he has the mini showdown with Hank at the end.
Yeah, we're coming on to that. That's why I moved on before we got her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, separate arc. That was flashbacks. That's not the Ghoul. That's Cooper Howard. Let's do Max. Max tells Thaddeus it does not go well. Kaylee, what were your thoughts at that moment? Because at this point, I might to point out, when he then tries to kill poor Thaddeus, I'm like, I was right. I was totally right. He's an asshole.
No, I could still see a tinge of conflict.
Yeah.
It's the hill I'm going to die on.
There's good in him.
Yeah.
Whatever. He ain't no Anakin.
No,
poor
I'm
old
still
Thaddeus.
there with you, Sam. I'm with you watching this thing with Thaddeus, and I'm like, he's a dick.
It's like he's literally just crushed Thaddeus's foot.
Thaddeus
is a smart ass.
That's all he's out for, is himself. He's kind of cowarded his way into a suit, and now he's all for himself, and how can he better himself? I'll tell him who I really am. Oh, it didn't go well. I'll kill him.
Yeah, it did seem to go. It did seem to go from 0 to 60 on that one. It's kind of like, oh, you're not happy about this. Okay, well then you need to die.
Yeah.
Thaddeus is a smart ass. Takes the core out of the back of the suit. Yes. Basically leaving Maximus stuck in the suit, like just to cook, basically. Yeah. He limps off with that and with the head as well. You know, the much sought after head of destiny.
Yeah.
Then Lucy, who we've seen level up, has arrived and found Max in the suit. She's suffering with radiation sickness, and then we get one of those references that we were kind of waiting on from the first 4 episodes, like straight away, Radaway.
Radaway,
Radaway. Yeah. Which was good fun. And one of the things I kind of liked about this scene, Steph, I don't know what you thought, the kind of, I'm not trusting anyone anymore. Like, poor Lucy is like, in my vault, everyone was lovely, everyone did the right thing, the golden fucking rule, it existed. Out here, you're all evil. I don't know if I let you out the suit if you're going to try and eat me. It's like, what did you think about that?
Yeah, she's been through a bit.
She literally says, she's like, I've had a shit week.
Yeah. So far, I've been to the shops where people tried to eat me and take parts of me away. I've met a guy that cut my finger off. Almost got eaten by a weird thing that had fingers for teeth in its mouth. Yeah, she's had a pretty shit week. I can kind of fully understand her not really wanting to trust anyone.
They do trust each other. They do help each other, which is good. I liked that.
I must be honest, the whole way through, though, I am waiting for Max to do something and backstab.
The thing in this that I'm kind of is because he doesn't reveal who he is. Like, she gives him the opportunity. He could say, "Oh, I'm Max." He doesn't. He's like, "I'm Titus." Oh, you're not though, are you, mate?
Yeah.
So I was a little bit kind of like, "Oh, he is a dick." every time I'm starting to warm to you. But the thing that I quite like then at this point is they do kind of bond over the fact they've helped each other. They do kind of agree, and she shows that she's learning quickly, which I liked. Is like, obviously you're out here looking for the same thing as me.
Yeah.
It's obvious that you are. You're part of the Brotherhood of Steel. How about I help you, because I've got a tracking device that's going to lead us straight to it. Then you help me save my dad. Like, so you'll get the head thing, which is what you want, and you come and help me in your suits and rescue my dad. And he's like, yeah, okay. We know he doesn't have the authority to make that deal. Yep. So I'm again like, oh, dick. Come on, kid. Kaylee, I'm going to bring a scene up with you because I want to get your opinion on it, because I kind of like this scene. It's a bit throwaway, but the two of them are out walking and they come across another 2 people on the bridge. What did you think about that scene? To me, Lucy's kind of, we're all just a little stressed, you know, just hold our hands up and we'll be fine. They get alongside each other and obviously they try and get the jump on them. But what was your thoughts on the scene?
I think it did a really good job of kind of showing them and the 2 kind of different worlds and environments that they're both from. They're both very, very naive.
Yeah, but in very different ways.
but in very different ways. They both have kind of a point to prove. And for me, you keep saying that, you know, Max is this, that, and the other, but it was really endearing to me because he so clearly wants to be this thing that he sees as the, you know, the be all and end all in his life. You know, he wants to be a knight.
I believe that now. At that point, those events happened. I was very dubious.
See, I can see it. You can see it in his face. You can really. Well, I could. I could genuinely feel it.
I'm not that trusting.
It's like,
I'm not.
I don't think he was too naive in that sense because he was straight away. He was like, "Give me the gun. Give me your gun." He wanted that. No, that's
what I was saying. They're both naive, but I mean, I'll give you the perfect example of the demonstrator. So Lucy in this world will just hold her hands up, we'll walk past each other. It's fine. He knows there's people who are going to try and eat them. So he gets the gun, he's ready, he shoots them. He's not naive to the way this world works.
Yeah.
A little bit later on, they're in Vault 4, and Lucy looks up and goes, "You want to have sex?" And he genuinely...
What, with my cup?
Doesn't have a clue.
No.
Oh, I've heard some guys, not me, but some guys, it swells up like a pimple and then it bursts.
It bursts.
I'd love to see the outtakes for that scene because there's no way there's not outtakes of those two completely frigging losing it.
No.
There's no way, because if he did, he's brilliant. Because there's no way I could have delivered that line without cracking.
Not only is he delivered that line, she then has to reply with, that happens every time. It's normal. Don't worry. It's fine.
Yeah. See, but this is what I mean by, like, they're both naive, but in different ways. Because, like, she's just looking at him like, "Oh, bless you."
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe that's like, you know, "You're not my cousin, are you?" That's basically Lucy's chat up line. I do want to point out that she's very horny, and she's just basically after sex on a pretty regular basis that during this show. Like, "Hey, do you want to bang?"
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's just because she's not got out ever. I mean, I get it, you know.
You can only do cousin things until you watch your kids. So since then,
she's been stuck with cousin stuff and then a raider and. Yeah, not good. So they do end up in Vault 4, like I said. Now, the Vault 4 thing was like a really kind of strange tangent for me, and it felt like a kind of a little mini story within the whole story that was kind of standalone. Did give us some information and a bit of like more background to everything, but kind of felt almost like a little bit of comic relief in amongst the overall story. That was just me. Steph, what do you think?
I found this Vault 4 thing very strange.
Yeah.
Like, I was watching it, and as it's happening, I'm like, is this actually benefiting the show at all? Like, do we need, like, there's a bloke that's got two noses, one's in the middle of his forehead, and you've got the leader who's only got one eye in the middle, and I'm like, clearly something dodgy is going on here.
I liked the fact that it subverted expectations. So they're a group of mutants. Lucy assumes they're evil because of what she's seen and everything. And we basically find at the end that actually, no, they're friggin' lovely. Even to the point that they're like, "You have broken our highest law, so you are going to go. And we're going to give you a load of supplies and, you know, give you a nice hug, you know. And don't worry, we'll carry the supplies for you." It just kind of... I liked that it subverted the expectations on that because it was kind of... Looks can be deceiving and all that kind of narrative, which I quite enjoyed. I did, like you, I felt it was a bit comic relief, some of it, definitely, which I don't mind. I enjoyed it. Especially Maximus getting used to the Vault. Him eating oysters and then being up for sex, by the way, that was really quite funny. A real throwaway thing, but do you want to try the sex now? That was hilarious. But the whole aspect to it as well, you learnt that Vault 4 in that flashback was the Vault with all the scientists. And Vault 4 basically showed that all they were doing was experimenting on people. So a lot of the mutant creatures that have escaped and are out there in the world, including the gulper with all the fingers in its throat, was created in that lab. So that's not just like a radiation thing. That is what these nutters have made.
Yeah.
So it did add to the story for me.
Was it his uncle or something? The weird oxalotl finger mouth thing was his
like,
uncle.
That was my great uncle. Yeah. Yeah. It was like, that was my great uncle on my mother's side. So it was funny. It was comic relief, but I did think it added with that. But Kaylee, what did you think about the whole kind of Vault 4 thing?
It was weird. It felt like it was good. I enjoyed it, but it just added to the whole kind of confusion and baffling nature of the entire show. If the whole thing had been that kind of nature and a bit kind of cartoon-like, and fine, I could have got on board with that. If it had all been really dark and dramatic like episode 8, I could have got on board with that. I think I really liked it, and it was really funny, and there were some people in there that you kind of go, oh, I know him, but yeah,
the guy with
for me.
The guy with the one eyeball, he voices a character in an animated show called Archer that I watch, and it took me forever to work out who it was. So
I know him in the same context that I know my little friend from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I was so happy.
I couldn't decide what's worse. The fact that you saw him and said that straight away, because that guy's done so much in his career, but that's what you knew him as. And then I knew what you meant, like, straight away. I, read it and was like, oh, yeah, 9-9.
No, see, I had no idea. Straight over my head that did, and I loved the 9-9. I missed it completely.
Yeah, no, it's the guy who does the radio. But anyway, just the last thing for this with Vault 4, which cracked me up, is Max realises or thinks Lucy's in danger, so he goes and steals their core, powers up his suit, and goes and saves her whilst they're letting her go. That scene cracked me up, because afterwards he's throwing people, and he's like, oh, you're okay? With the voice modulator still on. Oh, sorry, sorry everyone, someone check on him. That kind of won me over to him a little bit. That was very funny. That was very, very sweet. But then I also loved, when they went to the surface, Lucy made him take that back. Because the be-all and end-all to him was wearing that suit, wearing that armour, makes him feel like a knight. For him to listen to Lucy and be like, actually, no, you got to do the bigger thing, the greater good in this. I really like that. And again, that won me over.
Character growth. Yeah, growth.
Yeah, see, and my opinion was changing, so come on, that was okay. We do see them track down poor Thaddeus, who is called in the Brotherhood of Steel, and he's using the radio. And whose radio is he using, Kaylee?
I don't know. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. You literally just talked about it, and I'm setting you up to come in triumphantly. Oh.
Yeah,
hang on. I'll edit this. Yeah, and whose radio is he using, Kaylee?
Malignant.
9-9. I loved the fact that he was still basically just poking his head around a door.
I know.
He's just like, nope, not having any of this. No. Is that your friends? No. Poor old friggin' Thaddeus shooting. Oh, I need a sight on my gun. Just don't hit anything.
Oh my god, everywhere. Yeah, I'm so bad with that at sight. And they just stood there looking at each other like, you didn't hit me.
Yeah. What cracked me up about that is whenever I tried to play this game, I basically shot like him.
Yes.
There's a creature coming towards me and I've hit everything but the damn creature. That's me playing the game. So I used to jump. Friggin' hell. Lucy and Max talk to him. Little subplot. Earlier, because of his foot, he bumps into, my note here is Dr. Chicken Fucker.
Yeah.
I don't know what his real name was, but that's how he is forever will be known for me. And he gives him some remedies, and his foot suddenly starts to heal, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of impressive.
Did you have the thought process that this guy has literally just fluked it? I thought he fluked it, but then I actually thought he's drugged him and he's hallucinating. His foot hasn't healed. Yeah.
He's just thinking he saw it heal, and he's going to be hobbling around, and they're going to be like, what are you on about? Your foot's still in pieces, man.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's hanging off. Yeah.
But no, he actually turned him into a ghoul, which was intriguing because I don't know what the ghoulification process is, because in the games it was all about radiation and stuff. So whether this guy has concocted a way of doing it, but yeah, he's poor old Thaddeus is now a ghoul, which the Brotherhood would kill on sight.
Yeah.
So he has to scarp her.
And he only finds out as an arrow goes through his throat, and he stands there going, why am I not dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that scene was great, because he stood there and I'm like, oh no, I quite liked him. And then he goes, why am I not dead? I'm like, that's a great question, kid. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm starting to think, oh, that doctor, what's that? Because that doctor says to him, he's like, oh, what about the radiation? He's like, well, that doesn't matter to you anymore, does it?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what have you done to him, you asshole? Dr. Chicken Fucker, never go to him.
No.
So where did he come from? Do we know where he comes from? Is he one of them? Like, how did he have all this stuff?
Dr. Chicken Fucker.
Yeah.
I just like saying that.
Yeah.
Thank you for setting me up. I appreciate it. I think he's just someone who's wandering the wasteland, because he says to him, "Oh, come into my office," and then he's just like rummaging around for stuff.
A random house. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was kind of with Steph. Like, I feel like he's just like grabbed a couple of hallucinogenics and just like, yeah, look, your foot's better. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, see, bye. So yeah, so that was kind of that guy's blatantly going to pop up again in season 2. He's got to. That's such a strange little weird character. I hope he does, because I enjoy saying Dr. Chicken Fucker. So Thaddeus hands it over. Now, this is the moment that Max completely wins me over, okay? He smashes one of the heads that are on the ground decapitated and gives her the real head and says, go. He knows that the Brotherhood will hunt them, whereas if he hands himself over with the head, she can get away and save her dad. That to me was like the kind of moment where I looked at him and went, okay, I understand this kid now. We've been following Lucy in this journey and everything, but actually we've been following Max on the same line, just from a different point of view. He has now become worthy of the status he was kind of looking up to, in my mind. Steph, where were you on that?
I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, no, I can understand that. It kind of was his moment to redeem himself.
Yeah.
The fact that the target had short hair and he got a guy with long hair, we're going to skip over that. I don't know what you thought of that. But, yeah, the moment where he kind of hands Lucy and goes, no, get out of here, go. They're never going to stop looking for it until they have it, so I'll give him a head. I was like, okay, fair enough. He's trying to be the good guy at least. Okay.
Yeah.
There was just that little part of me that was still a bit like, is he still doing this for his own cause?
I did, when he gets back there and basically they're going to kill him and he's like, I know where it is. I was a bit like, oh, dude.
Yeah, he's sold her out straight away.
I thought you were making the ultimate sacrifice, but then of course you realise it's because he's going to get there first and save her. So I was kind of like, okay, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
But Kaylee, there's a nice moment where Max and Lucy kiss and the two dead heads lock lips as well. Oh, what did you think about that lovely romantic moment?
I thought it was beautiful.
Weird. So weird.
The dead head kissing. I mean, my note on this is just like Brotherhood arrive, heads kissing, lol. So that's my sophisticated notes. We then also find out when Max is back there that the friend did it to themselves. They bladed themselves because they were too afraid to become a squire and go out into the wasteland. So I was a bit like, oh damn, okay.
At first I didn't believe it.
To be fair,
but
I didn't see that coming.
No, but it's one of those things that once it's said, you're kind of like, okay, that makes sense. Because you've seen the wasteland is just like this horrific. And you see the way the knights treat the squires as well. Yeah. You're kind of like, you go in that cave, and if you get eaten, then I'll get a new squire.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're all so bloody desperate to do it, you know.
Lack of options. They don't know what sex is. So I think they are literally, they're all struggling. I mean, they all just beat each other up. It's crazy. That kind of, it took me, because when he sort of jumped in to save him, like, no, I did it to myself, I was a bit like, raised eyebrow, really, did you, or have you just done that to save him? But then he like says to him later on, like, yeah, no, I was just too afraid. I was like, oh, okay, wow, all right, fair enough. I was completely wrong. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I had to eat humble pie, as so many people wanted to point to.
Kaylee was right.
Sorry, the connection's breaking up there. I think you said Sam's the king. Okay, so I will mute you.
Right.
So Lucy gets to Moldova, and she then has the scene with her dad in a cage. There's a ghoul in the chair, Just gonna go to Kaylee first, then Steph. How quickly did you work out that was her mum?
Pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Pretty quickly.
I was like, that's straight away. That's
Yeah.
gonna be her poor mother. That's not good. I was thinking, when Moldaver starts kind of monologuing, giving out all the information about her father. We've had all the flashbacks, all these different things, so we know the elements of the truth and we know what's coming. I loved the way they showed that her memory of the time of her mum suddenly wasn't in the vault. Like, she had this memory, which we saw earlier in the season, of them in the vault, in the, like, corn stuff that was being grown. And then once Moldaver started saying, like, challenging her, like, come on, Lucy, you remember this, your mum brought you to Shady Sands, which is what it's called.
Shady Sands, damn it, not Sandy Pines.
Close enough.
Yeah, I doubt anyone would have heard you get it wrong and emailed us straight away. Anyway, Shady Sands. I'm going to say it again, Shady Sands. Everyone chill. It's not like Steph gets stuff wrong on a regular basis and people want to kill him over it. It's
We're all
fine.
good fans of
everyone
Boba
relax.
Fett. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, why? Just let it go. So that moment for me, when we're sort of watching that and that memory changes, I was like, oh wow, that's brilliant. I love that. That was such good storytelling.
Yeah, she mentioned just talking to someone about how she thought that the giant ball in the sky was real, and it turns out it was actually just the lights. And like, I was like, oh. Once you realise
she could feel the warmth.
I can actually feel the warmth. You're like, of course you could.
Yeah, my mum made it so I felt like I was outside. It was just basically a child's memory had been manipulated by her dad to think everything was inside that vault, where in reality her mum had taken her out. Obviously we learn in that, because we saw earlier on about Max saying to her, like, oh, this is where I was from, Shady Sands, and then the bombs dropped and she was just blown away by, like, but the bombs dropped hundreds of years ago, how could this happen? And then we get the revelation that actually, no, your dad blew up this city and killed all the people.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, oh, shit.
That was a shocking moment.
Yeah, Steph, just very quickly, Kaylee, this is going to go over your head. Did you get the reference with the fact Max hid in the fridge?
Is that like an Indiana Jones thing I thought of?
Oh, no, it's in the game, you come across a kid that hid in a fridge and you can sell him.
Oh, God.
It's so messed up. It's like one of the dodgiest things in all of Fallout. It's like, oh, I'll buy that child from you. And the child's like, don't sell me. And you get the option. And more often than not, it's good money. So
Logan got that, which is worrying.
Yeah. Ask Logan, does he always sell the kid? I bet he does.
Yeah.
Because the kids are like, I remember the kids even like, you're gonna sell me? They're like, yep, later's bitch. Ka-ching. So I got that. I just thought that was a very funny little reference. Oh my god, Max is the kid in the fridge. Well, I'd have definitely sold him. But not now. Now I think he's a good guy. So the Brotherhood rally and the Brotherhood attack Moldaver's compound. We get to see the suits, the armor sort of going up again. It's carnage. There's a bloodbath. There's a battle going on. The squires without their suits are also still on the front line. Again, like Katie said, I don't know what you're getting out of being a squire for the Brotherhood. I really don't.
No.
Maximus is kind of leading the charge because he wants to get in there to get to Lucy, because he wants to save her, grab her, and sort of run away to get away from everything. Maximus has kind of been picked out by one of the big bosses, though, as like a kind of stick with me, kid. We're going to go far kind of thing.
Yeah.
But amongst all the chaos and all the battle, there's everything going on. There's two parts. There's one where the ghoul kills one of the soldiers by pointing out the design flaw in the breastplate. Bang.
Yeah. Oh, it's still there.
Guess they didn't fix it.
Yeah.
I friggin' love this scene. But then my favourite scene in the whole 8 episodes, with my favourite line, is the ghoul walking in with Hank stood there and says, I've been waiting 200 years to ask someone, where the fuck's my family?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everything about the ghoul, everything about what's keeping him going, what makes him get up and keep taking that drug, keep going, boom. He don't know where his family's alive, and he don't know where they are.
Yeah. That surprised me. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that hit me. That was great. I loved that. Kaylee, what about you? About that whole end sequence and that? What did you think?
Yeah, do you know what? It was really good, and I'm glad we finally got a reference, but it was so unsatisfying because I want to know. I want to see them. I want to know exactly what happened when they rode off at the first episode on that horse.
Yeah.
Where did they go? What happened? Where are they now? And we have to wait forever now.
Well, luckily, it's got an early renewal, and it's going into filming and everything this year, so we are going to get it next year. We are going to get it. So a lot of these shows now, it seems to be like, here's a season, miss a year, and it drives me mad.
Yes.
But the early renewal, they are already in pre-production, so we are going to get it. Overall, the final scene, Steph, I'm going to hand to you, because Hank goes off in one of the power armor suits. Lucy's going to go with the ghoul, okie dokie. Max is now being hailed a true hero of the Brotherhood.
Yeah.
But where's Hank? Did you recognise where he was?
I recognised it. And it's
Hank
one of those ones
arrives,
it's bugging me.
Hank arrives at New Vegas.
It is New Vegas. Good. Okay,
which for anyone who's a fan of the Fallout series, that was a moment.
That was a moment.
Steph claims to be a fan, but he didn't experience that moment because he's clearly not. Just so everyone knows.
See, I should have recorded it. I should have recorded Logan's reaction.
I bet he loved it, didn't he?
So proud. He's been banging on about buying that bloody flag off of Amazon, and I was like, no, it's rubbish. And now I've seen it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Oh, really? I love that. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Hold fire, because both of you. We had a very lovely email from someone who was very keen for us to talk to them about Vault Tech and various other bits of merchandise. Ooh. So yes, I will circle back to that because there might be some bits for the kids there. But anyway, I know we've kind of just sort of walked through the final thing, so I just want to kind of sum up a little bit. Just before we do that, Kaylee, are there any bits and pieces or any scenes that I've missed that you really want to point out?
It's just the dog, really, but I think we've covered that. I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Is the dog with the ghoul again? The ghoul, the dog, and Lucy.
The three of them just trotting them.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was. And Steph, is there anything that I've missed for the 4 episodes that you're like, oh, I really want to jump on?
No, I'm quite happy. I think we've walked through. We've kind of brushstroked over it. Spoke about the main points.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of when it was world building for the first four episodes, we kind of went into a little bit more detail. But I kind of felt on this one, we just want to focus on the story.
I did want to ask Kaylee just very quickly.
Yeah.
At the very end, Kaylee, when you see Lucy with the gunshot, who did you think she shot?
I kind of knew it was her mum, and actually I was just going to say that's probably the one thing we didn't talk about. That moment, that how quick she must have gone from like shock to grief to kind of, I must put her out of her misery. Just those few minutes, well, it wasn't even minutes, seconds, was brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, what I really, 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 really liked is the use of okie dokie throughout the series.
Okie dokie.
So, okie dokie, very happy, chirpy. Okie dokie. You actually go through it. Every time she says it, it gradually gets more solemn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last one, when she's about to follow the ghoul, she's literally okie dokie. She's completely
done.
Someone, not me. I will say it's not me. Someone did a TikTok and they literally did them all. And the first one is the happiest okie dokie you've ever heard in your entire life. And they do. Each time she says it, I think it's 5 times throughout the whole 8 episodes. Each one's more solemn.
Yeah.
And even the one like when she says about sex and he does his little thing, and she just goes, okie dokie. It's kind of like that's the kind of neutral one, and then there's one a bit later which is a bit more solemn, and then there's that one at the end.
Proper down.
Is it only really 5?
Yeah, she only says it 5 times in 8 episodes. It feels like it's her catchphrase every other sentence, doesn't it? But it's not. Yeah. Okie dokie. No, It's
Wow.
the second one's cutting the guy's head off, which I personally was my favourite. Okie dokie, here we go. I liked that kind of can-do positive attitude that she's got. I just kind of want to sum up there very, very quickly at the end. I really enjoyed it. I went into it with expectations around not that it was going to be like The Last of Us, very different type of game, so very different type of show I was expecting. Visually, I thought it was stunning, though, in a kind of really off-the-wall, fun way. Like the kind of the game with like the 50s vibes, even though it's set in the future. I loved that. I thought it was great. I'm a real history nerd as well, so that kind of period of human history of the real fear around the bomb, basically like we are again now. So I really, really enjoyed it. I can't wait for season 2. I'm really glad we decided to pick up and talk about it. Kaylee, I hope you're glad I made you watch it.
Yeah, I'm bought into it now. It took a little while.
Do you feel I'm helping broaden your horizons with viewing, or do you feel I'm just really annoying?
No, you are, but you're still not forgiven for The Last of Us. So
yeah, that's fair. That was more him than me. But Steph,
I'm staying quiet.
Overall, mate, I know overall you're still a little bit on the fence, but I think after the finale, I think perhaps you're looking at it going, okay, perhaps if I hadn't just moved house for the 400th time in a day, perhaps if I wasn't watching this episode knackered, maybe I'd have enjoyed it more. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, so I went into it with the wrong expectations, and I'll hold my hand up for that.
Okay, all right. In that case, we're going to wrap the show here. Thank you so much to everybody for listening and all the feedback we had from the first episode. Please get in touch for this, our second and final for this season, Fallout Friday. We'll be back to talk about season 2 when it comes out next year. Keep an eye on our socials for updates on that and when it's going to be released and when our show will be. We will also be back with multiple shows coming up. It really does get quite busy for the Stuff and Things podcast soon. I don't know how much of it I'm going to be able to talk Kaylee into joining us for, but I will try, because I know everyone prefers her to the rest of us. Steph, say goodbye to all the lovely people.
Okie dokie. Goodbye, everyone.
Kaylee, say goodbye to everybody.
bye.
And I'll leave you all with this.
I bet that outfit makes y'all feel like a big man, don't it? Well, I know, 'cause, well, I used to wear one back in the day. There was only one problem with it. There was a flaw in the welding, just below the chest plate. I wonder if they fix that in this new model. I guess not.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.
Okie dokie.